Welcome to week 2 of seasonal anime Survivor of spring 2021. I don't know if it's spring or summer, whatever. Last week we voted off Koi to Yobu ni wa Kimochi Warui. That was the show we gave the boot, and we've got 11 shows left, and we're just going to talk about the episode 2 of each of these shows. So let's kick it off and discuss the second episode 2 of 86.
2 words. Fight scene. Ooh,
Big
that was
spider
cool.
robot crawly boom, cool music. I don't know. I wasn't expecting to like be interested in the action part of this show. I was more interested in the dynamic, but the potential dynamic between main girl. But instead, I was surprised with a lot of action. And although I thought I was gonna not like the action as much as the other parts of the show, I was pleasantly surprised. We got cool spider robots, and they were
Yeah, and
doing cool stuff.
especially it's that the protagonists are piloting those kind of drones. Normally, you just see like humanoid mechas that the protagonists are piloting. So it's actually kind of a fresh look that the protagonists are just piloting a different kind of mecha.
Oh, because you like traditionally they would sometimes have these kind of robots, but they were always the villains.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Yeah, the spiders are like the
has an interesting spin.
Maybe that's thematic because it's like, oh yeah, the spider robots tend to be the disposable drones, right?
Chill.
Ooh, and then
Really,
you
there's
put the
some humans
characters in there,
inside.
and the 86s are considered disposable drones. Symbolism?
Yeah, it's hard to like discuss this in words because it was mostly just action, but it was
Yeah.
cool. They
Yes.
like
Yeah,
the
the
building.
memorable part was what Lena, or Lena for short, was just at the end just strode out to the front of the classroom and laid down the truth about 86 being human, and I was like, whoa, I agree with you 100%, but I don't know if I would be that
And
courageous
then
that
Dolores
early.
Umbridge went back to report to the Ministry of Magic. It was
Yeah, like she's gonna be a child this early.
Tattletale.
I thought this kind of scene would happen at the halfway point, like at the end of the season, but no. She's willing to risk her life on the line just
but
because.
like again, it seems like I remember I mentioned last week that I was surprised at how easily she did it. So I'm like wondering if like the people don't get hard silenced, or like, because it doesn't seem like was fear in anyone, but I don't know, maybe we'll see how that plays
Yeah,
out.
it's weird that she's especially doing it in a classroom of recruits. It seems like the recruits would be the people that they would want to protect the information from, since they don't know it that much. They're like just starting into the military command. Like I understand with like high ranks, and they're fine with Lena discussing the information, but recruits, something fishy's going on.
Well, I
Yeah, I
guess
wonder
it's
if
just.
it's
Sorry, go ahead.
I wonder if they silence it in like some interesting way that we'll find out. So it's like not like your traditional like Soviet Russia, you get shot in the back of the street, or it's like something else where it's like, or it maybe makes a little more sense why it's like not so hushed, obviously. I mean, maybe there's like some weird way they deal with it. I don't know.
Hmm.
I will say it's interesting because they did answer a question that we had. I think I specifically brought up last week about like the general public, do they know about what's going on here? Like with 86s and all that stuff? And it seems like the answer is like a little bit. Like,
But they don't care. It's like they half know, and they and if even if they do know, they don't care.
they don't
So
know
it's
they're in
like,
the robots, but they know that they've been like depersoned and in concentration camps.
yeah.
But then it's a surprise when they find out that they are in the robots, which
But and then they like when the one guy like argue, well, oh well, then it doesn't matter because they're not people. I felt one of the students or something said something
yeah,
like that. I forget.
Yeah.
which is yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's like the interesting part of the show. It's like I'm really wondering like how they're exactly gonna go. I think it's like in the first half of the show, which is gonna be like this season, that we're just gonna know more about the crew of the A6s, and then at the end we could explore, like, I'm trying to think like how the A6s could, like, okay, like they said the Legion could like shut down in just like 2 years. The military command calculated that. So I'm just wondering if they were gonna get a time skip to that endpoint. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if they're
if
gonna
something's gonna
time skip
happen.
it, but well, maybe a little bit. But I will say this episode did a really good job of like dropping a little bit of like world building and like hints and stuff
Yeah.
of what's going on without like just having someone do narration, which I do appreciate. Like,
Yeah, I was worried like when we were in the classroom scene, like, oh no, he was like a Ruby scene, but no, it's actually they made it interesting, like
yeah,
as a
and
story.
they casually dropped a lot of information that we didn't know yet that is helpful. Like the enemy army, they're not positive, but pretty sure that they're acting like autonomously, and the entire enemy nation's dead, and it's just AIs are invading everything. Cool, interesting. Didn't know that. At the end, when she has her Skype call with all the soldiers, and she mentions, "Oh yeah, when your 5 years are up, what are you gonna do?"
Oh yeah, that was. And then the next episode is like, you don't want to die. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't want to die.
exactly.
So it's like,
Yeah,
so like you bring
absolutely.
up, and now like, and it's like, now they have a reason to not want to die, and then it maybe becomes harder to fight. That kind of concept. Who knows?
Dollar says that later this season, main commander girl there is going to find out that the 5 year thing is a lie, and after 5 years they just kill you. So nobody
Oh,
gets out
Ooh,
after
like,
five
that would
years.
be just sad.
Yeah,
Oh,
I bet that's going to be like a big plot point. Is they're going to find out that's what happens. So there is
yeah,
no
I
you
didn't
get
think
to
about
rejoin
that.
society after 5 years, and that's a lie that they use to like
Yeah,
motivate them.
it's like that thing you know that phrase you put at the Archer's camp gate, like work to live or work for your rights, like that.
Hmm.
Just something to give the prison inmate a little bit of hope, but at the end, there's no reward at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what I think is going to happen. But I will say, spider robot battle. 2 thumbs up. Super cool.
yeah, cool soundtrack, cool
yeah,
spiders, cool lasers,
yep,
boom, explode.
yep.
Yep, that's it. And then
Yeah,
good little threading for the next episode. We got Mr. MP that left the room, so that was important, of course. But let's move on to the next show, which is Fumetsu no Anata to Your Eternity, is how they translated it. This episode is a little different. We got like
yep.
human
Mwah.
sacrifice.
Beautiful. Yep. Unto travelers.
This
Yeah,
one,
that's
it lived up to the expectations of the last episode, for sure.
yeah. Me too.
I was
And
not disappointed.
yeah, I'm glad it went with this direction.
Yeah, there's only so long they could go before they started introducing, human characters, but still.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it hits. I think it hits this nice balance between introspective shows like I don't like them atmospheric shows and like plot heavy shows. It just has that nice mix of in between that I can't. That there's no exact comparison I can compare this show to. It's
Yeah, it's not really like anything else out there, huh?
yeah, and I can't believe I'm saying this after years of being an anime fan.
I really like this new setting they're in right now. There's a lot going on. Without being like too much, like you can immediately really relate to everything going on. All of the characters, the little girl, the older sister.
The parents' reaction.
Exactly, that was all.
Mm-hmm.
That the scene when she gets picked and the
And,
parents are like cheering out in the crowd, and as soon as they
yeah, the
get in the house, they
contrast where they
break
have the
down.
public facing versus like what they actually feel. That
Yeah,
That was
because
that was
they don't
rough.
have a scientific understanding of how the world operates yet, so they have to believe in these gods. Like, oh, if you sacrifice a human child in this monthly year, then the gods will give you bountiful harvests, or you won't die later this year.
Yes.
It's perfectly understandable, and I'm really happy we're exploring this kind of setting.
Yeah, my only hope is it doesn't linger here for like the remainder of this season. I kind of want it to be like our main shape-shifting character dude is like this is a journey that continues on from place to place. Maybe he'll take the girl with him at the end of this arc of I'm hoping it's an arc of like 2 to 4 episodes, and at the end the
yeah,
two of them go on and find a new village and stay there.
That's a
I
good
want to
point
see him keep
because
moving.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's a good point because if the little girl actually goes back to the village, then she's just gonna get taken back to the mountain and be killed. So it would be a
I know the
perfectly
one girl's
logical.
armor was fucking cool. She was like Vegeta Pocahontas or something.
I like that.
Yeah,
It was like those side panels looked like the Saiyan armor kind of, but it was mixed with like Native American war paint. I don't know. She was like
yeah. When
I
girls
liked
can be
her.
badass back then,
That was like
those
a
were the good old
cool.
Yeah,
days.
compared to everybody else. Yeah, the
She had the
priest lady
coolest
there.
outfit. I don't know.
Yes.
Although she is like the enforcer of sacrificing a human child, so I don't know. It's
Yeah.
minus
Yeah,
character points. But
yeah. For being
Vegeta
status
didn't start
quo.
as a good dude either.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the pinnacle dude of doing bad things, but getting a redemption somehow.
wait, who?
Like
Vegeta.
Vegeta, because he like
Oh yeah,
quit
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
planets.
yeah.
Well, we're getting a
Yeah,
little
so
off
she'll
topic.
be. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to point out her armor was cool.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but thanks
she
for
had like
pointing it out.
side panels. I don't know.
So talking about the human sacrifice to whatever their god was, I'm pretty sure it's leading up to it being that like giant polar bear that ate the guy at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, they foreshadowed that.
Yeah, because the like they have the big tapestry of it, and and it vaguely looked like a bear with a bunch of spears sticking out of it, which is exactly what that thing was. So I'm pretty sure what's gonna happen is because the little girl she had
Bear fight, bear
she had
fight.
the nightmare,
Mm,
and she's probably gonna turn herself in,
Was that a
and then
Anchorman that I'm thinking of? What was that from? The bear
I don't
fight
know.
thing. Uh,
So I'm here's my prediction. The little girl's gonna turn herself in to save the other girls in the village. Go up to the mountain. Main character shapeshifty dude is gonna like follow her up there. The bear's gonna show up, and he's gonna fight and kill the bear, and then him and the girl are gonna go on to some other village.
oh yeah, just the whole interaction with him and the apples and her and like she's like, "Oh, you don't know how to be right. You got to eat properly." And she's like wants to be a mom. That whole dynamic. And
Yeah, and
well, they didn't
he's
actually say it
yeah,
until
that is wholesome.
they set that up the whole time and then for the final line she's like, "Oh, like you're like she can be like his mom kind of." That was so just that whole setup to where she could have that final line in the episode end.
yeah,
Like it was
Yeah,
really really
she
good.
gets to live her dream now instead of having to wait to grow up.
which good because I
Actually,
didn't want
really
this guy to be
cool.
like mute dog person for the whole show. That would be rough.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely his first words are gonna be impactful later on.
Yeah, I wonder how is he going to be developing speech like their entire time, or are we going to have like some episode where it's mostly or is it going to be gradual? That's another. How long will they progress on that? Like, will they do it slowly, or it'll be like a revelation type thing where all of a sudden he's able to speak after some event?
You'd think you'd pick up some from hanging out with that other guy, but maybe like
Yeah,
you have to be in human form to have human cognition for speech. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is the point. Yeah, because the wolf doesn't have the human brain.
Yeah, so he couldn't have learned language. I guess. Well, that's not really the point of the show. The technicals of his shape shifting powers. It's
yeah,
more about
yeah.
just exploring all these different
Experiencing
stories of
human.
different. Yeah, just exploring human life in old times.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
the human
oh,
experience as observed from an outsider, which very
And
cool.
yeah, and I'm liking that we're getting to see what this period is like. It's gonna be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
yep. Okay, I guess I don't really have anything to say with that show, so let's move on to Godzilla SP. We
Uh,
had pterodactyls again and
yeah,
robot.
I think they're gonna be like the main antagonist kaiju this season because they built up this pterodactyl kaiju for way more than I thought they were going to. Like
Well,
they even got like a mule.
they
Same
ended
as
it with like a million of the things flying around,
yeah,
so
like they're like the same
it's going
species
somewhere.
though.
But yeah, the one-on-one fight. Oh, this
Dimpa Kaiju Radon.
I can't help but
But
notice that the fight between the pterodactyl and that main robot was pretty much just like a jank version of the Pacific Rim fight with the flying kaiju.
Yeah,
I have
it
not seen
seems-
Pacific Rim, so I don't have the framework to realize that it was
It's
like,
it.
oh, that was just a
Imagine
copy of something.
imagine that fight, but like 100 times cooler.
Yeah, I can vaguely remember Pacific Rim. Now,
Did they have like some old guy that gets knocked out, then they control it with like a remote control or something?
No, but there was a robot that was fighting against a giant dinosaur, and the dinosaur tore its arm off, and then it pulled out a sword and stabbed it, and it was flying in the air, and they fall back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Except-
Yeah, I remember that now.
So there's it's some small parallels there, which funny enough, I guess
So that doesn't really sound like a copy. That just sounds like a cooler fight. But so it's not a copy. You're just saying it reminds you of like
Yeah.
another kaiju fight. that was
it's
just
certainly
happened to
not
be
one
better.
for one, but there's some parallels. I just thought that was amusing. It reminded me of that. But yeah, so the fight was pretty good.
Yeah, this episode held my attention a little more, I have to admit, because we get to like see more of the characters interact. Like we don't have to spend time laying it up the plot now that we can actually do the plot now. And I actually appreciate more and more like the unique AI in this universe. The
It's
way-
not as
that
annoying
thing's,
as I
like,
thought it was
insane.
gonna
That thing's
be.
insane. That's like give me
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I would have one because that AI could look through all my documents and
I
could
was-
turn me into the police.
I was
And I'm
really
like,
worried it was
no,
going to be like
I don't
the
want any
comic
of that.
relief sidekick, the AI, but like, fortunately, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not
very
annoying.
convenient.
But yeah,
You can
this
even touch up your documents.
yeah half this episode was just main girl there like doing research, which
Yeah,
okay,
very technical.
so
It's more like I wonder. Like I mean, I guess you'll probably research something that's relevant that saves the day or something. I wonder.
well,
yeah,
I
she's
mean,
got a very pivotal role in the story.
it seems like it's just this whole story is going to be about the younger characters meeting up with. It seems like all the older ones, like that professor she get the email from, or like the guy who runs the radio station, like they know about kaijus and they know what's going on. Maybe even the old man. It seems like they all know what's
Or
going
the
on.
old
They,
man might be like. It seems like he knows like legends, but they happen to be true, and maybe like the professor dude.
well, they said like his memory's no good and he's a little crazy, so like he probably knew that stuff and just forgot it, some of it. So
yeah, maybe that.
I bet you anything, all the older characters, they're gonna be like the mentors who like, oh yeah, we remember when Godzilla first showed up back in the 60s or the 50s or whatever, and they're the show's gonna be about like them like passing the mantle of like Godzilla handlers onto these new kids.
I love like the crazy old man, that type of character where it's like they still have fight. They always have fight in them. They're not gonna. Don't take me to the hospital. I got.
Yeah,
loved it.
that old guy was cool. The way him and the main protagonist was able just to keep fighting on the pterodactyl, just using their wits. I
Yeah.
wonder what's up with how he was able to reset the Jet Jaguar. It's got like this purple spark in their eyes. It's like they have a will inside them.
It's because he's magic programmer. He does magic.
He just coded an
Because-
AI for it real quick on the spot, and it took longer to
Yeah.
like upload and reboot the system than it did to actually like program it.
Yeah, that's how it
Ah,
works.
Okay,
I mean,
I
it's
can
also like
accept
the
that
magic
as
AI, right? It's the same thing as like the magic AI or whatever. It's
So they have two
Yeah,
magic
yeah,
AIs in the
yeah.
show, one on the girl's computer and one in the robot.
yeah.
That's great.
So basically, AI can be defeat nature.
We'll talk about more about AI in another show later. but
Yeah, I forgot about that.
but
What of AI this season?
anything else going on in this episode? Mainly, like the only really noteworthy thing was robot
Like the
punch
radio
pterodactyl.
Yeah, and the radio waves saying that the Rodon can communicate in a similar frequency as radio waves.
Yeah, like they kind of
Yeah.
established
Yeah,
they're like
I like the sound design of that.
they're like artificial life forms that emit radio waves, and that's all we really know. Or maybe not
And
artificial,
there's
but
and,
like
and
manufactured or
so there's plushies
something.
of them because it's
It's
Yeah,
a
super
pop
quick.
culture phenomenon. Pterodactyls.
yep.
Yeah, dinosaurs are pretty badass.
Uh,
All right.
yeah.
don't really have anything else to say. We can move on to the next show. Next show is Hige o Soru, Soshite Joshikousei o Hirou, episode 2. To this episode, we had more with like Goto-san, his older woman that turned him down in the first episode. We got a new younger coworker that's shit, so she had to work overtime.
Yep, which would be me. I would say I had that experience one time.
Oh no.
uh, and apparently she might like the MC, and then we have the MC, as
Might? Are you
expected, sort of
kidding?
getting attached with the girl. He's now not
Ah,
just wanting to buy her a phone for functionality, he wants to make her happy. His friend sort of comments on that. Pretty interesting altogether. That, like, of
he's
course that would
one
be
lucky
likely to happen.
SOB.
Like, I like the way it's developing. I like the fact that it's like that would happen, right? He's like, well, oh, I guess one. It's kind of becoming like a daughter kind of situation where he like, oh, I want to get her something that makes her happy, but it's like, and at that point, so it's clear he's getting attached. This will be a problem whenever inevitably they have to split, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
So
and but yeah, it's turning into like a paternal
I
relationship kinda, which is
yeah
he's not just like some guy renting her a room, like he wants to look after her, and that's nice.
yeah.
But
This
like
is
not in a weird
basically
way.
yeah. That is appreciative. Yeah, this is just like
I don't know, but if any
very
girl like comes up and says high school girl hug, it's like
uh, you're coming too much onto me. Personal
well,
space.
Joshikousei no hug. It's
Yeah,
like
well,
he's like,
we're all not Chads like our main guy here.
no, but like
Mm,
who just says that as like, oh, you're late home. Like, I don't know, that was a little. I mean, they have to play it up, but it's like, don't
yeah,
remind.
but
It's like, don't remind him. Like.
the strong the strong attributes of the show is far more than like its trashy aspects. But thankfully, like this kind of show is just like therapy session. The anime just characters talking out their feelings in a logical way. It's something that I don't see in most anime. It's just like sometimes like
uh,
people say, "Oh, why don't you just talk about your feelings?" And I'm seeing plenty of this in this show, and I'm just so happy with that. I could just watch this all day.
yeah, it's cool. Like, like a male to male conversation about like him being turned down, that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. Him
Yeah,
and his like friend, and like also like it's realistic, like how like having to talk about keep the secret with his one friend that knows what's going on, and it's like those conversations are done pretty well too. I like that. I
yeah,
mean, what else happened? I guess not really. Like, it's not even that much happened. It was just interesting. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's just
few aspects of the show, they nailed it down.
yeah, they just kind of introduced a couple new characters, and
It was mostly their like him with Goto-san like eating dinner, right?
Yeah,
That
that
was the most of
was
the episode.
yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, I like that Yoshida,
I
he was
cup or whatever. That
frustrated
was
that Goto invited him out like on a restaurant, and Yoshida was just like a bit peeved off that Goto just wanted to know, hey, what's going on? Why he changed? Despite rejecting him like recently. And so Yoshida got the wrong idea
well. It's
that there was
clear.
something
No,
more
it's
to it.
actually no. It's the opposite. Yeah, it's clear that she was just a good friend and saw him as a close friend for this 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's not unusual, but the way he was interpreting it was weird. But actually, I think she's just like a good friend, or so she
Mm,
actually was concerned. That's what it seems like. If we have,
yeah.
because he did say it was 5 years they had been knowing each other. So
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's like a cool detail. Like everything makes sense. There's nothing that could I would say it would be out of character for them to interact that way. And so I was impressed by the consistency of characterization.
hmm
Yep. So
well,
should we move on to the next show?
yeah, there's not much else. Again, not much happened in that show, but it was good continuation. We got Ijiranaide Nagatoro-san. Second episode, we got some hula hoop in the beginning of the episode. Then into Vamp, she finds out he got Ero vampire big boob girl thing and manga and reads it and it's like, oh, this is actually pretty. This actually has pretty solid story, pretty good stuff here. That was
Yeah, he reads it
interesting.
for the story, right?
Not.
Mm, that's just a coincidence.
And then what was the scenario?
The restaurant, the other two guys at the restaurant.
And
Oh yeah,
how, yeah, Nagato was cool in that scene.
she found like the simplest way to turn some like to like like buzz somebody off, right? Just like the cleanest way to do it in both cases. It wasn't like super in your face. It was just like clear. Nope, get out of here. I liked it.
It was
Very
just like a
simple.
very clear, but not like mean, not interested.
Which of course implies that she at least enjoys dealing with the main character, which is so it's like the point being that if she was not interested in any like in any way whatsoever, she wouldn't mess with him. She would just ignore him, and that's kind of like what I was saying. And like when you were saying she's being like crazy mean in the last episode, I'm like, but at the end of the day, she is like interacting with him, so it's like she wants to have interactions at least.
Yeah, because he
So,
very much doesn't. But she keeps inserting herself into his space, so she's obviously legitimately interested in him.
well, he's interested too, but he's like doesn't know how to handle the situation. And also, it's like the idea of you don't want to think that somebody could be interested in you because in the case that they're not, you just get disappointed. So it's like from the main character's perspective, it's like dangerous to entertain the idea that the other person could like you. And I think it's
Hmm.
more of that. So it's like the level of obliviousness that's not like truly oblivious, but it's like oblivious to like protect yourself kind of oblivious.
Willful,
Yeah,
oblivious.
yep. I can imagine like having that kind of negative belief about myself years ago when I was in high school. If a girl was interested in me, I would be like thinking, was she set up? Did someone pay her to interact with me so that she could embarrass me like this? So it's not too unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get like I don't know, I totally just get this show. All of these interactions are like it's so good. I don't know. It's it's like
And what's so weird is I despise this the first episode we watched, and my mind has been almost completely changed with this episode. I feel
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
partially
It
because
it
of
gets
the
better.
restaurant scene. Like we get a lot of characterization for her. A main
yeah, it's
guy's
surprising
not
how
quite
much
as much of a
information.
wuss this time. He's not like crying on the floor this episode.
Well, what she did was less mean like she's like less like she was like more of a savage in the last episode in this, I guess. And in this one it's more like haha, you got your oh, you like these erotic manga or yeah. So it's like less yeah, you're nothing like the character you write in your stories. You're trash. You're like you're just a coward or what?
Yeah. I think it's gonna get a little more tolerable from here. That's it's gonna get slightly more nuanced, and I'm here for it as long as it's in the seasonal anime Survivor.
Yeah,
But I think,
it's
yeah,
they dialed it back a little bit for this episode, and
yeah, I think it's just the writer just knowing more of what he needs to do with the characters and how much is too much.
yeah, like
I mean, I really like
episode
the
one
first
was too
episode.
much.
I like the over the, but I also like the nuance too. I like both. Like I'm just loving the show completely so far. I have no I really like it. I think I'm glad this exists. It's like a good look into like I don't know where else this specific thing would exist, but it's such an understandable thing that it's like words don't do it justice. I don't know. It's just such a communicative sort of idea that it's like so cool
Yeah,
it
of
exists.
of different dynamics in high school between like the opposite sexes. You mean?
I don't even know it's high school. It's just like I mean, it's relatable from like real experiences, but taken to an extreme level. I, I, I mean, I guess I just think that the idea is really cool, and it's executed very well. So
Well,
Mm.
I guess final judgment for me is didn't care for this at all before. Kind of digging it now. I'm shocked that my mind was so fundamentally changed on the show, but I'm glad it was.
so it's just the volume was too high on the last one.
I guess, yeah, and it went on so long and so intense, and they didn't have time to do anything else, like give our characters personality or nuance.
Okay, so I liked just the pure using the volume analogy. I like just that super high volume, but this episode added other elements which I also like. And you
Yeah,
like didn't like any of that pure just that, but once you add other elements, you start to like it.
yeah.
If they turn the volume down a little bit and then start to add
It
some
was
other
just it was,
things.
it was I guess it was just like too. It came in swinging too hard, too fast right away. The To be fair, last episode, the very ending where they talked on the bridge, that kind of started turning things around, and gave you some insight into the character's mindset, and
Yeah,
that
I don't know, like the nipple touching game. I don't know about that. That's like what the
Yeah,
hell?
that's a bit too sensual. Like early on.
Yeah, I don't know what girl's gonna do that, but especially in
no.
yeah, no one that wouldn't happen.
No way.
Anyway, let's we can go on to the next show. The next show is Osananajimi ga Zettai ni Makenai love comedy. Uh, honestly, I don't even remember what happened to this. Like, I remember thinking it was fine, but I don't even remember. Like, dude's a child star, and
Yeah, he was like a
And
child actor, and
then like one
yeah,
of the dudes like a fan of his, and then they're going to put him in a play, and because the girl is like a writer, they're going to have her be the writer, and it's gonna stuff is going to happen. But that's like the high level, but it's like specifics. I don't even remember what really happened. Oh
yeah,
yeah, she
like
was
yeah. If
on
I
their kid. That was the detail. That was
yeah,
the thing.
that's so fucking weird. I mean, isn't Shirakita supposed to be the love interest that doesn't know the main character at all, but apparently they only know each other from childhood? What's the
But he,
point of the childhood friend?
but he
Like
doesn't.
it's it's so
Is that like a pun on the? Is that the joke? Is that she was actually the child friend, and so like the new child friend actually isn't the true child
they
friend.
introduce a new
It's
child
like,
friend of someone's every single episode. I think that's just
well,
how the
oh
show's
my
gonna
gosh,
go.
they could be like a childhood friend have him.
Like,
That
there's
would
not
be
a,
truly
there's not
meta.
any more female characters, are there? I mean, there's like the
The Wally.
I don't even. There was a lolly. I don't remember.
I just remember to see like a little girl on the poster. I'm like, huh? I wonder how much of a role she's gonna play.
Oh, there's a character in the picture we haven't seen yet. Okay.
It'd be funny if she's like the most important character of the story. That would make it way more entertaining.
Well, I actually haven't like I just now that you mentioned there's new childhood, I actually hadn't thought of that. But if that's like the point of the name of the show, that's actually cool because there's actually two childhood friends, and that's going to be the main competition. Is it's actually
which
both of them?
childhood friend are they talking about in
Which,
the title?
Yeah, that's
mm,
clever if that's the point of
And
the
how much you
name.
want to
But
bet there's gonna be more childhood friends of various characters introduced
I think it
throughout
would
the
be more
series?
interesting if they kept doing that. But if it's just the two, and that's like the main point of the title, and that's sort of what they're playing on, I think that's kind of cool. Uh,
okay, okay, that's not so bad. Now that you say it,
At the
but
end of
yeah,
the day,
that's like
though,
the
this
only
is
memorable thing I can think of from
ultimately
this
though this is
episode.
just you know mild drama, romantic drama between high schoolers, and I don't care that much.
yeah. I feel like I'm never like this will inevitably. I feel like get voted off. It just
Yeah,
when it's
yeah. This is like the first show that
a
I had
show
to
that I
put two
probably would
times
drop
speed
start
on.
watching it because it's non-offensive and it's mildly enjoyable. So this is like so it's like a weird show that like when competing with other shows would not score well, but also I might just watch it because it's fine and it's mildly entertaining. I don't mind these sort of romantic comedy type shows, but usually I'm not going to be in love with them unless they do something that makes me really like it. But at the same time, I'm probably not going to hate a show like this unless it does something crazy.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
I do like that it's like she knows that him from the past, but he doesn't know she was that friend. So it's a one-sided information. So it's like I like when you have different characters knowing different things, but it's
Dramatic
not all.
irony.
Yeah, I like that. But it's not. There's not much else going on there. We'll just see how it plays off if it doesn't get voted off this episode. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next show is. What is the next show? I lost the list.
Shadow's House.
It's Shadow's House. We got. They're going almost like I'm almost disappointed at how direct they're making it seem dark. Like, I mean, obviously it was going to be dark, but this they're like so obvious about it. I'm like, I still like it, but I was almost like with the spooky song and like, well, they're making it very obvious that they are just like slaves, like like they're making it more clear. And I almost
Mm.
the fact that they're so direct about it is almost like overkill, but it's still cool, good atmosphere. I like how they sort of opened up a new level. It's like you beat level 1 and now you're
You
oh you
left the
open up
room, now you're in the mansion.
in
Yeah.
the house.
And now you're older now. It's a lot
So it's
more
like
responsibility.
so like I like the idea of staging where it's like you get like the new ability like in Metroid game, and now you can go to the next all those tunnels you saw before, now you can go to them. That's the vibe I got from episode 1 to 2 because you leave the room. I wonder if they're going to continue that. It's like now you go to the new part of the house and you learn like every time you get a new piece of information, it opens up a new like world, so to speak. I wonder if we're going to
And
keep
gives
going.
you more information.
Also, like the the dichotomy with like the Mia doll, the doll for Sarah, the other shadow woman,
Yeah,
or
that
and
scene
like
where they had the confrontation was intense.
You know, it
especially
reminded.
having the contrast between them interacting between dolls, but like when they're with their masters, it's like no, they are just a slave to imitate the to show the expression of the shadow person. That's like it was like a subtle way of showing, oh, that's the purpose. They're not. It was like
Yeah,
a
it's definitely not a Jun metaphor. It has its own purpose.
I
Yeah.
don't know what you.
Yeah, like Carl Jun. I was going on last episode. Oh, is the shadow supposed to mean this? But actually, this episode it confirmed that the shadow is just. Well, no, the doll is supposed to express what the shadow is trying to express,
Yeah, they're
and
definitely a tool. It's like it was a very clear stage setter, where in the past we weren't quite sure, and now we're this episode more strongly clarified that they are slaves, they are tools, they are not like. And also this the creepy song where they're like, oh, you don't think about anything crazy,
No
just work for your
difficult
master.
questions.
yeah,
Yeah,
just work for the family.
yeah.
Like very. That does give me creepy vibes. Yeah, you're right. This is kind of like more in your face
You
than
know,
you
so
think of this kind of tone.
something like that. Like I forget what the words exactly. Where it's like, but don't, yeah, don't think anything. It's like, just be happy and serve your master, kind of. So it was like, it was, yeah, it was like a very. I guess maybe it wasn't for me. It seemed very obvious, like super, almost blunt the way they're. Okay, this is the difference. Uh, and notice, I mean, I only noticed this because I looked at the character list. There's the girl in the background. There's a doll that is not happy. Not. She's not singing the song, and she's not happy. So I'm sure, like, I know she'll be a character because she's listed as a very highly on the list. But there's like another doll that was like red hair or something in the background that was not singing along, and I think that will matter soon. She'll probably be a character that comes up, and maybe she's like also sort
Like
of like
one who knows what's going on,
yeah,
and
or
she's
not
kind of like
happy.
more resentful.
Yeah, maybe more resentful. Like it was obvious if you. I only happened to notice it because I was looking at voice actors, and then like I just saw that she was listed high on the list, and then so in the episode when I was watching it, I was like, oh, there she is. And furthermore, she's not singing along, and you can see her facial expression is different than every other one of the dolls, and she's like sort of more resentful. And so maybe she has more information. And then, of course, did you watch at the end of the episode where like Mia the doll like walked out of the room? There's like footprints and all this disgusting soot everywhere, and it's like kind of spooky. It was the doll that we saw in the beginning of the show, and then she was like mimicking her master in that
Hmm.
at that scene
Like
at
in
the
her
end.
Ah,
personal quarters, there was the soot everywhere. So
Yeah,
so
and
Mia's
and
not actually doing her job.
she seems scared. And I think maybe her master's like out of control or something. I'm not sure. It was just intentionally setting an ominous vibe for her experience. Like, oh, maybe she's not safe. Maybe she's not happy. It's all like an act. Whereas like, what's her name's Emiko? Or what's
Yeah, and Miko. No, I just want to make sure.
Emiko?
Uh,
Emilico, I
Emiko.
think.
Emilco.
Emiko. Okay, yeah, it's Emiko with an L. That's what it's missing. Anyway, so yeah, she's like truly happy, whereas like maybe most of the or many of the other dolls are only putting up the face externally. So in this episode, we also had like Kate get angry for the first time, and that was kind of scary.
But Kate actually is able to reconcile and show that she can actually take responsibility when she does an outburst. And what's actually interesting is that some of the suit just stays up on the ceiling when the shadows release a great emotion, but when Kate like made up with Emiko, the suit just suddenly came loose.
Yeah,
And
and I think foreshadowing at the end of the episode with Mia was that her master is not letting her emotions go loose, and she's like, the room was a disgusting mess. There's just like claws, like it was like bear claws of soot on the ground, just like everywhere. So maybe it's like if you have an emotionally unstable shadow master, maybe that's what's going on, and it will be worse for those dolls that have like angry masters or something.
yeah, because they just have to put on the front because Mm, yeah, because the those are meant to be like the outside expression of the Shadow Masters, and if the Shadow Masters are more angry than and take it out on the living dolls, then the living dolls aren't able to do their job because they would look more hurt, and that would ruin the Shadow's reputation. So maybe there's a threat of them being replaced, and that's why some of them are worried. I mean, this just me speculating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's.
it's
I feel like there's a lot of questions, and this episode is really like piqued my interest in like knowing what happens next. The first episode was, just the two girls like hanging around in the room. Now there's like this whole mansion to explore and a
Yeah, that's all
bunch of new
social
characters
dynamic.
that we know are out there but haven't met yet.
Yeah, and she was
And
afraid to say it out loud, but then wrote down that what is the shadow house or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'm liking that
and like we don't even
idea
know
of
like
self
what are
introspection
shadows, what are the dolls, what's going on.
because the most important, well, the best thing that Emilico have up her sleeve is that she can write and she can think about what she learns, and that will give her power because she has information, and she needs to get more information to understand the various concerns that are racking up her head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right. Is
gonna be
anything else
fun.
got enough to say about that show?
Still my favorite show of the season.
All right,
Hmm.
moving on to the next show, we got Slime Taoshite 300年 Shiranai Uchi ni level max ni Nattemashita. Which what's Mal doesn't even have an English. It's like I've been killing slimes for 300
Uh,
years. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll just call it 300 slime.
Okay. I didn't know
Yeah.
how they were doing it on like
I think I
Crunchyroll.
read somewhere it's like I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level.
Yeah, I mean that is what it means, but I just want to know whatever the official translation is so I can
Yeah.
use it. Yeah, it's like because I'm just using the Mal title, which is
I'm sure we'll get that eventually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. We got some slime spirit.
Slime spirits. Yeah. And apparently there are some good slimes and bad slimes.
Yep.
Which just seems like justifying the main character like killing slime.
Yeah. And so that she doesn't end up becoming a villain and having like an antagonist confrontation with one of the
Hat,
girls.
have you seen her hat?
That is an adorable hat. I wish I could wear like a hat like
I
that.
know this is the second
I mean, no one's
episode.
stopping
I
you from wearing a hat like
it
that.
happened, I think, but
Yeah.
like talking to the villagers, I'm like, damn, that hat. That's a big hat. Uh,
Yeah,
I
when your
don't know.
hat's as big as you are.
Yeah, you're just showing off at this point, which is fair because she's like the most powerful person there.
Yeah, this.
You gotta show off your status.
So, what do we think about this episode? Like, I thought it was
Not as
fine.
memorable as last episode. Definitely like brought down a few ranks for me. It's just like one of those premises that would be better explored as in 40-minute OVA instead of like a 12-episode series.
I
Yeah, because I
guess.
mean, I think the show is just gonna be us getting. I mean, especially if you watch the ending, it's just gonna be like new characters that show up, and it's gonna be probably be similar situations where like they try to fight her, and then they become friends, and it's not necessarily bad. I'm just like not crazy interested in this show, so it's like this is again is like a show that I don't know if I would drop this unless I had like a bunch of other things I was watching. So it's just, but I feel like it's unlikely to get any more
What else
interesting,
is he going to bring to the table?
and I don't
Yeah,
think it is. I think it's meant to be like a relaxing, oh, what's the silly situation where she makes a new friend
yeah.
show.
I think this definitely would be something I'd put on the background if I was doing something else. Like
Yeah.
if I was like doing a work assignment, I need like something to look at every once in a while,
See, and that's
and
the
then
thing.
maybe show on the monitor.
I called
This
this
type of
last
show,
episode. I said I don't want anything to happen in the show ever again. I just
and
want
I
them to
don't,
just like hang out for the rest of the season.
I think that is the point of the show, and I think it's gonna be fine at that. It's again, it's like a, I don't know. I guess you could call this a Yashike, although not. It's like comedy. Like it's not hard Yashike. It's like comedy, relaxing. I don't know. It's meant. It's
I know.
which I
I
definitely
just
think this type of show has its place. It's like a great like end of the day. You just want to watch an anime or two kind of show, and it's enjoyable, and you can turn it on and watch it.
I just hate when a show
Mm.
introduces like new main characters like every single episode.
I think that's going to be the case,
Oh
especially if you
no.
watch the ending. Like if you watch the ending, there's a bunch of extra little characters, and if I just look at the art of it, there's like all the. So I think it's going to be like a episodical. You get a new character that shows up, and then maybe you get more people hanging out with her every day. That seems what it's probably going to be like.
Yeah, because after
No.
that's gonna get a whole lot of friends. Like, would you just like a more focused slice of life like K-On?
Well, yeah, it's clearly like a. I mean, I said Yashike, but I mean that's not. It's like slice of life, relaxing comedy mix, kind of. It's a mix of all those. It's. I mean, the fact that it's isekai isn't really what it is. That's just the setting. What it is a relaxing comedy kind of show. So
I know I could be into one of those relaxing anime, but it just something about it just doesn't have it in it that specifically appeals to me. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
like the
well, yeah,
dynamics that's missing for me.
I'm not crazy about this, but it's not.
It's not bad.
It's
It's
not
just
bad. It's just kind of bland.
mm,
It lost all its steam after the first episode.
yeah, I think so
Well,
too.
I feel the same this week as last week. You guys got more out of but like my impression last week was the same as this week. Like last week, I realized it was going to be this, and I'm still fine with it. But it's I voted it
Yeah.
lowly because it's like, it's I just like some of the other stuff more. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Uh, anything else to say or?
Nah.
No, we're just happy to move on.
All right, we've got SSSS.Dynazenon. Man, this was like I don't know. I like this. You got like toy cars and toys that turn into robots and big robot punch and I don't know. I'm liking this one. I don't know. It's
I like the
transforming
robot. I like the fights.
transforming robot.
I like the
I like
yes.
I like that Gamma is the proactive one, and he actually thinks about needing to train. Because I was unsure about him about the first episode, how he's so eccentric, but he clearly does care about what he wants to do. He wants to protect people from the kaiju supremacists, so he's doing everything he possibly can, and I admire him from that. He's definitely my favorite cast of the show.
Oh, of
Like, I don't-
course. The scene where he gets in the bathtub.
He's like, oh, it's a little tight in here.
Yeah, very cramped. Yeah, you gotta remind that.
I love that. That was pretty funny. Like you have like first off, the mom just lets you're a friend, and also this guy's like clearly like 25, and this dude's in high school, like a friend, like a young high schooler, I think. And
Yeah,
lets him in the bath. 25 just sits in. I was
and
like,
you
And it was
can
every
see
time
what's
the camera
underneath his
cut, he was
eyes.
closer and closer until he's in the bathtub. Oh my god. That was
Yeah, I mean that is very funny.
that was a good gag. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks so peaceful sleeping. He's like, when you look at his eyes, he looks like he haven't slept for a whole week.
he looks
I
like he
love that
sleeps as hard as he fights.
I love that they
Mhm.
make the fights because apparently it was like based on some sort of tokusatsu show where it's like it looks like those old
Yeah,
Megazord versus. I
well,
love that
definitely
look.
gave me that vibe, like 70s
And I
tokusatsu.
and I love like the car when it like did a flip, like it when it attacked the robot, the car just like sort of bounced off. I don't know, it looks silly, but I actually like how comical and silly the fighting looks at some of the cases. It's really it's good. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm like, I literally am just like, yeah, punch, robot, like literally. I'm just like, it makes me smile watching the fights because it's like cheesy in a good way, and it just it makes me happy. I don't know. It's
What's really cool is that the fight didn't end up the same like the last episode. But what's really valid is that the different Zoids outfits, no, not outfits, the forms, yeah, they can be like different combinations, and they're all legitimate in their own right. They have their strengths and weaknesses. Like I'm trying to remember like the blue hair and the main female one. I know it's like Minami or
it's
and
Mina's her last name. I don't remember her first
yeah,
name.
like the main combinations, like just like the regular unit with the wings. Yeah, that looks so cool in its own right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like its own mecha in a different kind of show.
Yeah, you've got like the car dude, and then you got Galma's got the legs. It's like actually a boat submarine thing. I don't know. It's like it's pleasant. I don't know. It's like this show is fine. I like big. I
Yeah.
don't know. I like and this a simple big robot punch, but not necessarily that. But like this in the way the fights look kind of comical, though animation style, but it's cool. It's like because it's like weird in that it's like uncanny in that it's kind of it's kind of weird looking, but it also for some reason it makes me like smile and think, "Ah, cool fight." I don't know. And we
Yeah,
got
this is definitely the kind of stuff that can appeal to a 21st century audience.
and
Yeah.
you got the anime looking villain group where they're all like weird looking that they'll show up next.
Yeah, we don't take them that seriously anyway. It's just like a fun show to relax and just have fun.
Yeah, I like it. It's pleasant, very
I enjoyed
big
it.
robot punch is the only way
Yep.
to describe it. Even though
Um,
it's not always punching, it's also the different forms. But
Yeah,
big robot punch energy. That's the energy of this show.
I hope we get to see more kinds of combinations of different forms, which means hopefully get to see different dynamics or relationships. I'm looking forward to what the
Legs,
form would look like with the two cousins. I'm interested to see what their form combination looks like.
well, one of the two cousins, she doesn't have one.
Really?
Yeah, it
That's
was
interesting.
she's this mascot girl that they like to show her armpits because
Well, there is a fetish for just showing a
I,
human
I,
armpit.
I can't unsee it. Like after having that pointed out to some on some Love Live video, someone commented, "Oh, look at Chica's armpits." I'm like, I can't ever unsee that when I'm like, man, they're really because they are. I think they are intentionally doing it. Like they just zoom in like real hard and like
well, they can do them. I'm
Yeah, it's valid.
go nuts. It's harmless enough.
she's literally just a mascot and doesn't do anything. She's there to sit in the guy that's homeless's room. It's not. That's,
Yeah, that guy.
well, not
Um,
homeless, but no job, no.
Like,
yeah.
props to him
Yeah,
for actually
okay.
showing up to practice and like driving a race car around. Like,
I'm
sick dude.
surprised Minami showed up. She actually like it's weird because
Yeah,
she was clearly like a not give a fuck character, but now she's actually showing up to help.
and
it's
had
well,
like weird commitment issues and just problems in general. But like
like,
now
she
she's the
actually
one
is,
trying to get main kid
Hmm.
yeah, I'm
getting
not
the
sure what's going
robot.
on.
Maybe there's something going on with the dino, whatever that called. And so, yeah, we
Yeah,
could
our
probably know why in the later episode. Definitely gonna be an explanation about that.
yeah, it's a little frustrating that main kid has a little bit of getting the robot syndrome, but hopefully he gets over that soon.
It's kind of like they're being a reluctant protagonist.
Why is there like one girl that has a COVID mask and no one else does?
Well,
What years does this take place?
There's one girl in the room that like in the classroom that always has like a mask on. I'm like, is she? I don't know.
sick. Yeah.
Or-
Yeah,
Maybe it's like a personal fashion.
yeah, but then all the people who work, in the
but nobody
restaurant
else
with the
has
main
one.
kid,
Yeah,
no
nobody else
mask.
had it. There's one character.
This
And
show
now I
took
just
place in
looked her mouth,
2019.
and There's a picture of her, and her portrait has a mask. So I wonder if, like what's going on there.
Hmm.
Yeah, don't really have much to say though.
Yeah, it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Big
Alright.
robot show.
Yeah. And we got next we got Tokyo Revengers. We got some more development here. We got our guy's now a tough guy. He's like, please hit me again with that bat. I'm trying to get batted.
Pinata. Da, 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 da.
'Cause we had the
But that, yeah,
cliffhanger at the end where
that
he
poor
wants to
kid,
fight the
like,
dude that just beat him with the bat. So he's like, give me
yeah,
more bat.
that, like, at first I'm like, oh no, he's doing the thing where he's stepped up to the plate, but then he like wussed out and he's gonna like try and run away again. But then, like, he starts getting hit by a bat, and I'm like, okay, understandable.
Yeah, but that was pretty bad. I mean, imagine being like, a 25-year-old and beating a middle schooler with a bat. That's
Ugh.
Well, apparently that
Really?
other
Yeah,
guy was
pretty much a
also a
scumbag.
middle schooler, supposedly.
oh, those guys looked old as shit. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, they
Yeah,
they
maybe it's just
did,
like the
but
art style.
according to the show, they're middle schoolers. Maybe
So,
just maybe they just flunked a couple grades and had to repeat. They got held
so
back.
even the ones that are middle schoolers, I thought that dude was like an adult gang member.
Well, that's the
No,
thing. They're
really high
third
school.
years. Our main characters are second years. That's why there's like such an age gap between them.
Okay, yeah, that's why do they look so much older? That's weird.
I think it's just the
anime,
art
don't
style.
question it.
And
Yeah,
they
I
wanted to
think
make
it's
it
like
really
older
obvious
manga.
who the older kids are.
Yeah, that's for some reason I feel stupid now, but whatever.
Yeah,
Nah,
I think
it's no big deal.
I think it's
I thought it was like a 20-year-old beating up a middle schooler. That was what I thought was.
I don't know if that would be worse.
Yeah,
still-
we
it's
way
bad.
worse.
Oh, give me the bat, man. I'm trying to.
But yeah,
We
it's like,
haven't beat.
but yeah, like as soon as he got his ass beat by the bat, like apparently he had a bunch of courage beaten into him, because
Yeah,
from that point on, he's
good.
like, you know what, I am gonna save her, and I'm gonna fight everyone and be a badass.
It's because he withstood the pain and realized, I don't want to go back after being dealt this humiliation. I gotta press forward and save the love of my life, so I don't end up living the kind of life that I regret every single year of my life.
Oh my god, do you think they're gonna start next episode with him getting his ass beat again?
I think what might be
He
going
went for
on.
a violent fight
I
that he
think
would get to
he-
notice.
Yeah, I think he'll get recognized here because he's like beat up, but then still comes back up, and so that might be like gang initiation type thing where because he keeps standing back up, that maybe he gets recognized, and so that maybe that's how he gets in. Is
Yeah.
by just
I have a
show-
feeling it's gonna end up like that. Especially like one of the two gang members that like he's trying to find that's responsible for like the future incident.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think he's gonna come in contact with?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm trying to see if I can find.
the dude, like the blonde one. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
I-
my mind's on the blonde one.
but they're
Isn't
both
like-
blonde. One with like the snake tail thing, and then the other one with like the folded
The-
back behind him.
The flowy hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Like-
mind's on him.
Also, props to main characters' middle school friends. They're not like gigantic assholes like they made them out to be at first. the scene in the bathroom where they knew the guy was probably about to get beat to death, and they are all like, "Oh my gosh, if we could
I
take
like
your
the
place, we
part about
would."
like, oh, dude, wash your hands. That was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, that too.
That's a good little detail where it's like the guy
Yeah,
was
and like that one idiot kid, like he's talking to them, and he like turns around before he's done doing his business, and
tries to pat him on the
everyone's like,
shoulder.
"What the hell?"
But like that's a realistic thing that would happen in like high school. It's like, dude, what the hell? It's the kind of thing that could easily happen. So
Stupid
I liked it.
14-year-olds, yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Right. So what about like the whole time travel aspect? What do you think about him need like hold his hand with the other guy? You think that's like a cool, interesting time travel mechanic?
I mean, that's
I don't. More
weird.
interesting.
It seems
I don't
weird
care,
and
I don't care.
arbitrary, but it
Yeah,
only
weird
needs to
and
be there
arbitrary.
to
I don't
service the
care.
plot.
I don't in a good way or a bad way. I don't care. Like it's.
Yeah, it's
I
simple enough. It's simple
The
enough
method
for this
doesn't
kind of
matter.
narrative.
All that matters is that the rules have been explained. We understand how it works, and I'm curious to see how often he jumps back and forth between the present and the past in this season. Because I'd be surprised if they spend the entire rest of this season just back in the past, instead of like once in a while he goes back to the future to check on and see, did it work?
I don't
No,
care too
try
much
again.
whether they stay or they do a lot. I mean, I actually wouldn't like it if they switch too much. I want to stay
Well, yeah,
good
not too
amount of
much,
time.
but every
Yeah.
2 or 3, 4 episodes, maybe check in. Maybe like 2 or 3 more times this season. Just check in the future, see, did we do it? Did we fix it? Did we fix it?
Yeah, I don't know. I might like less than that. Just very infrequent for me. I kind of
Well,
just like to see how things evolve. But
when I say
like
this season,
definitely every once in a while.
this is one of the shows that's going to run longer, isn't it? Too.
Yeah, this
So
will be a long running thing. I
so that'll
think.
have more time. Like so, yeah. If they jump 2 or 3 times this season, that's still maybe 5 or 6 episodes
Yeah,
per.
that'll work.
So that's not bad.
Yeah. I'm actually
Well,
really still happy that they're focusing a little more time also on the main relationship, like the protagonist is sharing with his middle school girlfriend. It just gives us more insight into his motivation.
Okay, so how weird is it that he's like 26 and dating a 16-year-old?
so that's normal. They do that all the time.
Yeah, that's just a thing you have to accept in like time travel narratives.
Forget it. It's anime.
Yep. No
Okay.
time for more questioning.
I mean, this has been like again. There's been a lot of shows where you go back and that's what happens. It's whatever. Like,
So, are we at the last show?
we got one more show, and the last show is Vivy. We got
Oh
Very-
boy.
way more high intensity than I expected. Way more action than I expected. It was cool. I like. I mean, I was expecting to like the show for different reasons, but it's actually like way more of an action show than I thought, which is cool. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
big Mission Impossible-esque skyscraper falling into other skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Like
It's very
Is-
GTA 5 mission esque, and I like that aspect.
Yeah, and I will say the just the animation for the action scenes in here, like incredible.
Yeah,
like
it's
where they're
not-
running
Yeah, the
along the
directing is
rooftop
solid.
while the building collapses.
yeah, the animation of Vivy, that little running sequence looks so cool.
Yeah, and her like flying in front of the moon with the glass and all that. Like that whole like couple minutes was so cool.
I don't know. It's such an action show. It's hard to like.
Yeah, like it's very simple and straightforward what happens in this episode. They rescue the guy, and presumably the law is not going to get passed because he's not a martyr
that
anymore.
woman is just
I guess
gonna
we
pass
don't
out
think
his
they're anti-AI terrorists. That's a thing. I guess we didn't know that before, or did we? I forget.
While they're there,
We didn't know that the previous episode.
I'm curious to see how frequently they use those terrorists as like a force for good or as a force for evil.
Because it could be either. Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're just like I think they're just
Oh,
gonna be
yeah,
a
that scene
tool
with
that
the
like
plane, like the plane that the girl.
yeah,
in.
that was the scene where they're
Ugh.
looking at the tower in the distance and then suddenly it cuts. It took me a sec to figure out what's going on. I had to go back and watch that twice.
I didn't rewatch it, so I'm actually a little confused what happened there.
So when so that wasn't like a flash forward or anything. That happened like shortly thereafter,
Ah,
where when he was showing her they're standing on the lookout and looking at the big tower. He showed her a bunch of like news articles from the future, and
Oh,
she happened to see that that
mm,
plane crash happens the same day. So she wants to rescue that one girl who was on the airplane because she was like one of the biggest fans of hers and like critical to her mission. And sidekick dude takes control of an industrial robot and just beats the shit out of her.
yep.
And the plane
Like, don't
explodes
interfere too much of the time.
because they're not allowed to change the future too much. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
like you're only allowed to change things when necessary for stopping the apocalypse.
that
Not
hit way too harder than I expected.
yeah, they
Ugh.
I was surprised they killed off the girl. Like I said, though, maybe it didn't hit as hard for me just because I was confused the first time I watched it.
I also was like a little bit. I was like, oh wow, wait, why is he attacking her? And that's like okay.
Yeah, that's like the only odd thing about it. Like, huh? Did I accidentally skip a scene?
But
Oh, they're
that's
showing me like the next episode preview?
yeah, Vivy got her ass beat right there at the end, and by our
Character design's so
by our
goofy.
like sidekick there. So
Yeah, we need to make
he
sure
has
we have his
established
name.
that I guess he has established he is in charge here, whether she likes it or not. Like he's
Yeah,
he's
Matsumoto.
he's not so great.
Yeah, he's a scary dude. No wonder the AI took over.
So
Yeah,
we might have like some potential conflict with him.
well,
Uh,
they like already there was some conflict even from the outset of like from episode 1 of like, oh yeah, their missions, we're not our goals aren't the same and we're trying to do for different stuff and you wrote me into this. And they were playing it for laughs. Now they're taking it like super serious
I wonder
with that
if
ending
like
there.
I think this will end up being happy, sad ending. Just super early prediction.
No idea.
I no, I could go either way. I don't know if they're gonna
But
go the happy route when they show what happened at the end of this episode.
I think maybe like a bittersweet happy. I don't think it's gonna go full everything goes to shit and everyone dies anyway. I feel like it's gonna be like a ironic happy or something. That's my
Mm, yeah, I'll be inclined to agree because that seems like the common sense approach from judging if they keep this kind of tone going. I'm just wondering what this relationship's gonna be like with Vivy and Matsumoto going forward. Is it gonna be like more awkward, or are they gonna somehow
More than a
go
little
fix like
awkward.
compromise? Yeah, I don't think Matsumoto is gonna compromise on his
Yeah, he's
stance.
and he's established that he will kill her before he'll compromise.
Oh no, this is just so wrong on so many levels. Ugh,
And
no.
I wonder if we're ever gonna get to hear us sing. Uh, I feel like we have to at some point.
that's
Didn't we
probably going to
already
be the
hear a
season
thing?
finale.
I think maybe it was that in the first episode, like when everyone was dying.
Yeah, I was sure that. No, no, it's a different Rob AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Phoebe was in the museum at that time.
Exactly. This is Vivy was just like in storage in a museum somewhere, and she was the only AI that was around from all the way back then, and
So
that's
I wonder if
why
we're
it
gonna have her
had
like
to be
sing
her.
like while fighting or something. I don't know.
But
Yeah, she fights while she sings. It'll be like a simple gear moment.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna go that cheesy. But
I don't know. That'd be pretty. Yeah, it wouldn't fit the tone of this show. But,
no,
yeah. Uh,
the like music has been linked in the show already with like apocalyptic death. That kind of ruins the tone a little bit.
but I would like to see them have her sing in some
I'm
context,
sure
whether
that'll
it's
happen
like
eventually.
dramatic or so. I feel like I want to see that.
It'll happen.
Mm. I'm looking for. I will hopefully see that too.
I will say for the end of this episode, even as he beat her ass on the tarmac with the exploding airplane, like the last line he said is like, "Oh, this is just the beginning. We got 100-year mission ahead of us." So I
Yeah,
think even the next episode after this one might be a flash forward by
yeah,
like
maybe.
many years potentially, because technically all they have to do is like selectively prevent certain historical events. So there's no reason. I think we talked about this some last week, so I won't get into it much.
Yeah,
But
you mentioned. Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's gonna like time skip around like it's no big deal, so that by season or the end of the season, episode 12, like it's 100 years from now.
Mm.
Yep, looking
Yep.
forward to it.
Which cool because then the setting changes a little bit, and we'll get to see society
Yeah,
progress and AIs progress over the course of this season.
and not to mention how different the future's gonna look from the original future.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of new obstacles would there be? In
Or
fact,
depending on how the show goes, how different it isn't.
oh, that's a good point.
I think it might be. I'm almost more inclined to think it's hard to make subtle differences in something that's already future, right? It's difficult to do.
Yeah, it's like future to futurer. That's
Yeah,
yeah. I know what you mean. It's hard to like.
encapsulate that in like a
Yeah,
clear
I'm sure
way.
there'll be more like just small details here and there. Like the AIs will look because they kind of all look like crash test dummies right now. Maybe they'll look more and more advanced as time goes on. Who knows?
Vivy looks pretty cool though.
Oh
Cool.
Yeah,
hell yeah!
yeah. When she took off her shirt and showed her the bra, I'm like, whoa.
With the show description like had me hooked just like to read when was looking at the shows to watch. Just like great character design. The blue was like pretty good, striking. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But if that's it,
Yeah.
we're ready for the voting section. If you guys have anything else to say, about Vivy?
Nope.
No,
Let's go ahead
she's
and
pretty cool.
find out who is getting knocked off the show, off of the our podcast this week. Woo!
Woo!
Whoa.
Okay. And we have voted, and the show that got booted is Osananajimi ga Zettai ni Makenai Love Comedy. It was too lukewarm, too not enough interest. So nobody liked, like nobody hated it, but because nobody was interested, it was like voted pretty low by everybody, and it was the show that was consistently by a small margin was like there
We
was
are
a
the least
second.
invested in this story and these characters.
Yeah, and they're better alternatives. But if you like that kind of show, then and then it's up for you to watch it.
It was just the least interesting out of these shows. So that
Yeah.
show is by. We're not gonna say booted like we did with the last show. I think we kind of strongly dislike the last show we voted off. This one we're just like, it's pretty meh. It's not. It's off.
Yeah, I think the rest of the shows we've got left aren't. None of them are bad. They're just.
No,
Some are just like not drawing attention. But
it's
then
just a competitive market.
However,
Yep,
I will say in about a month, this show is going to get a lot more interesting. This voting is going to get a lot more contentious.
there's
It
like
might even get heated.
once we get to
Ooh.
like the 8 shows, I'm like I like most of those shows, so it's gonna get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's it for episode 2. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have a good time.